Question 17. The data displayed in the table below shows the cost of renting a tank by the day, including a fixed initial fee. So the question is, which of the following equations would best represent the given data? So note that we usually have y equals mx plus b, but instead of y and x, we're using c for y and d for x in every answer here, essentially, right? Just because we're relating the cost in dollars of the rental and the number of days. So instead of y equals mx plus b, we're going to have c equals md plus b. M's the slope, b is the y-intercept, d is the number of days of the rental, and c is the cost. Okay, so how do we tackle this? How can we find out without actually plugging all of them into these choices one by one, just because it's multiple choice? Let's actually figure out what the equation is using the data. My first step will be to figure out the slope, m. The slope formula is usually y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But in this case, because we have c and d instead of y and x, we're going to use c2 minus c1 over d2 minus d1. Okay, and I'll just use this data over here. I just really need 2 points instead of 3. So this will be d1, d2, c1, and c2. Okay, so c2 is 1650. So I'm just plugging 1650 into here. Minus c1, which is 1190. All over. d2, which is 5, minus d1, which is 3. Okay, so 1650 minus 1190 is 460. 5 minus 3 is 2. 460 over 2 is 230. So that is essentially the slope of the line. So we can already eliminate answers A and C, because we have a slope of 230 only for B and D. Now, how do we find B, which is the y-intercept, given that we already have the slope, which is 230? And the slope in this case, what does it represent? It represents the cost of renting the tank for one additional day. Interesting. Okay, so C equals 230 times D plus B. Now, to find what B is, I'm just going to plug either one of these points, because essentially this is a point, 3, 1190, 5, 1650. And I'm going to plug in the coordinates for C and D to find B. So I'm going to plug in 1190 for C. And we still have 230. I wanted to use blue, not this weird purple. Not that it matters that much anyways, but so I have 1190 equals 230 times D, which in this case is 3, because if you rent the tank for 3 days, the cost in dollars would be 1,190, plus B, which is what we want to solve for. So 1190 equals 230 times 3, which is 690. And then I can just subtract 690 from both sides of the equation. Those cancel out. And B is going to be equivalent to 500. So the equation of the line, now I can just plug 500 into B. And this is the answer. The answer is D. So the cost of renting the tank will be $230 for every day of rental, of the rental, plus the fixed fee of $500. That's it.